Hey everyone, Miss Moxley here. Alright, so let's look at the agenda for you guys for this week. So, unfortunately, I have an observation going on at another school that I assist with. So, over at Cleveland Prep, I'm going to be observed by my principal there on Wednesday. So, unfortunately, you guys will have two recordings this week. You have one today, and then you'll have one on Wednesday. On the agenda for today, you've got your Newton's third law of motion lesson and quiz, and then tomorrow you've got the Newton's laws exam. So you've finished that module at the end of today. You will have finished that module and you'll have your exam tomorrow. So make sure if you need to take your notes home and study, or if you need to look over your quizzes, that you do that before tomorrow. Wednesday, you'll have your recording, and then you have your resistance and Ohm's law lesson and quiz. And Thursday, you have resistors and circuits lesson and quiz, and then Friday, home electricity lesson and quiz, and of course, your notebook check that Mr. Wilson will be looking for. So make sure you're taking notes every day this week. So what I want to do today is, since I will not be meeting with you guys again for a live session before you take your exam, I wanted to make a recording for you as far as your exam was concerned. So I wanted to make a review for you for your recording there. So I've got a couple of questions up here on the screen, and I'll just go over those with you guys and talk through them. Then if you've got any questions after viewing the recording, of course, don't hesitate to send me an email, and I'll be glad to clarify any questions or confusion that you may have regarding the exam review. All right, so the first question, and let me go ahead and get a pen. What is the tendency for an object to keep the same rate of motion called? And your answer options are inertia, force, friction, and motion. All right. Inertia, force, friction, and motion are your answer options. And the correct answer for this one is inertia. So be sure that you understand and know the definition of inertia here. The next question, what is Newton's first law of motion? Be sure that you can state Newton's first law of motion for you guys. And for Newton's first law of motion, it's an object at rest will stay at rest unless an object acts upon it. All right. Let me move that over for you guys as well. All right. And then our next question, what force works against friction? Your answer options are inertia, kinetic potential, inertia, kinetic, or potential, not together. So you have inertia, then you have kinetic or potential. Let me adjust my screen a little bit more. I'm sorry, guys. All right, there you go. All right, so what force works against friction, inertia, kinetic, or potential? All right, the correct answer being friction. So friction is a force that works against an object in motion. The motion of an object is called inertia. Let me get my pen back. So we are talking about inertia. All right, so our next question, what type of energy does friction produce? Radiant energy or thermal energy? Radiant energy being our light energy, thermal energy being our heat energy. We've talked about friction in the past. Remember, if we rub our hands together really fast, we're causing friction. And you probably feel heat with that, so we've got thermal energy is the correct answer there. All right. Moving on, our next question. What force acts on a projectile when it is launched in the air? Is it friction or gravity? What force acts on a projectile when it is launched in the air? So it is gravity. Gravity is the correct answer here. All right. 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 Moving on, what is the correct equation for velocity? So as far as these equations go for your exam, please be sure that you have these equations memorized, because it's going to ask you for all of the equations and it's going to ask you to apply, so use these actual equations. So you need to make sure that you know these equations correctly. So what is the correct equation for velocity? And let me copy that over for you guys. So it should just be a simple memorization. It's not going to make you type it out. It will be a multiple choice. But be sure that you, oops, I don't have a big enough text box. I'll type it out for you. So it's velocity equals displacement divided by time is the equation there for velocity. So in the next review question that I've got for you, if a biker travels 15 miles in 30 hours, what is his velocity if it is constant? To determine velocity, divide displacement by time. So I've already got our 15 miles divided by 30 minutes. So displacement being 15 miles, 30 minutes. What is our final velocity? Then it's going to be in miles per hour, so you would just simply divide 15 divided by 30. All right, and let's get a text box here. And when you calculate that one, you get 0.5 miles per hour. All right, moving on to our next question. What happens if an object has a negative acceleration? A negative acceleration. So we've talked about positive and negative accelerations. Your two answer options are the object is slowing down or the object is turning around. Okay, so I gave you an easy 50-50 option. So hopefully you can easily determine that the correct answer is the object is slowing down. All right, our next question, what is the equation for Newton's second law of motion? Again, please be sure that you know these equations. You should have them memorized. Let's see if I can get it to copy up fully for you guys this time without cutting out. Oh, and it did. It cut out again. So I'll just type it. So force equals mass times acceleration. Force equals mass times acceleration. What is the equation for Newton's second law? Be sure that you can apply that equation. So looking at the next question, what is the equation for work? All right. So again, you want to be sure that you have these equations just simply memorized, and it's a simple plug and chug, so you need to be sure that your equations are correct. So work equals force times distance. Work equals force times distance there. All right. Again, be sure that you can apply all of these equations. So moving on, our next question, what is power? Power is the amount of work done in a certain period of time. Power is the distance an object is moved and how quickly it is moved. All right. So when we're talking about power, power is the amount of work done in a certain period of time. So let's just talk about that real quickly. As far as power is concerned, work, somebody can apply more force as far as work is concerned. So two different people can apply two different amounts of force. One can be greater than the other. This applies to power, okay? The greater the power, the more work that can be done in a shorter period of time, okay? When you think of this, think of horsepower as far as a car is concerned. The faster the car, the higher the horsepower, the quicker it can move a shorter distance. All right, looking at the next question. If it took you 5 seconds to move a rock 15 meters using a force of 150 newtons, how much power did you need to use? So the equation is power equals work divided by time, and I've already got you set up, so 150 times 15 divided by 5 is how many joules? So 150 newtons times 15 meters divided by 5 seconds equals how many joules per second? All right, so you want to be sure that you can calculate there. You want to multiply first. So multiply 150 times 15 and then divide by 5, and you should come up with 450 joules per second. And then the next question, this will be an essay question. What is Newton's third law of motion? And give an example. So there's two parts to that question. You need to state Newton's third law of motion and then be able to give an example. All right. So Newton's third law of motion states is that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. All right, so an example could be a rocket being launched. The gas pushes out of the back of the engine, and this force is equal to the force of the rocket accelerating forward. So that is an example of Newton's third law of motion. All right, guys, so that is it as far as your exam review is concerned for today. Please be sure that you finish up the module, so that lesson and quiz, and then study for your exam, which is tomorrow. Go back, review your quizzes, see what you got wrong, see why you got them wrong. The review did not cover everything that will be in the quiz. I can't give you guys everything, but it did cover a lot of the stuff. So if you've got any questions about any of these, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'll be glad to clarify anything for you or answer any questions. And then don't forget, on Wednesday, you'll have another recording. So be looking out for that. Bye, guys. Have a great rest of your day, and I will speak with you guys again on Wednesday. Bye-bye.